This little beanie hat is a powerful tool, and if you're a crocheter, you're a force for good. Want to learn more? Let me tell you. So imagine you're staying in a hospital, or maybe you're going through cancer treatment. I don't think anyone will disagree that that is a highly stressful time in anyone's life and can be scary, and hospital environments, for as much as they do for us to care and take care of us when we're there, they're sterile and cold and not necessarily welcoming places. So imagine you're going through a treatment and you're feeling a little bit cold and uncomfortable in a hospital, and a nurse comes and gives you a beanie hat. Something that a complete stranger who's likely to never know who you are or meet you has done. They've put their time and talent and love into creating a beanie hat for a complete stranger, with the entire goal of just making their day and their time and their experience a little more pleasant and comfortable and cozy. If you're a crocheter, you've got the opportunity to do that. And that's exactly what this little beanie hat does. It's love paid forward to someone else. So if that sounds interesting, stick with me and I'll tell you a little bit more. Whether you're an experienced crocheter just looking for some mindless crochet, a beanie hat is an amazing opportunity to do that. And in the summer, when it's hot, these are amazing summer projects. Even though they're meant for the winter, they're a good summer project because they're not very big. And so you don't have a big giant blanket sitting across your lap when it's hot. So making beanie hats in the summer is an amazing project to use up skeins of yarn that you've got or random scrap yarn that you have. And you can learn more about that if you watch my tutorial. But anyway, whether you're a beginner or an experienced crocheter, beanie hats are an amazing thing to make, and you can get involved and help us make them for hospital patients. So if that sounds interesting, I'll tell you more at the end. Let's get into today's video. Welcome or welcome back. If this is the first time you're seeing me, I'm Jody with Meadowbank Crochet. I created Meadowbank Crochet as a charitable cause here in England where I live, with the singular purpose of making and donating beanie hats to be given out to hospital patients or people who are going through cancer treatment. Each week, I'm going to give you an update on my progress as I set up my charity here in England. I'll then go through the eye candy of the beanie hats that I created this week, and we finish with my yarn plans for the future beanie hats that I want to make. So let's get started. So let's get in with the business update. So of course, setting up a charity here in the UK is my primary goal. I'm in the process of that. I've already established a voluntary organization, and I'm working to actually progress us towards all of the criteria to meet the requirements to become an unincorporated charity here in the UK. So we're making good progress. I'm happy with that. But the second part of it, and equally important, is of course to make connections with hospitals and care homes and cancer centers so that we've got an avenue to donate all of our beanie hats to. And so if you're new or you haven't looked at my website, I've already established a connection with 2 hospitals. And one of the donations that we made, actually the story got picked up by the BBC. So that was absolutely amazing to see that they're interested. It's you know this. We crocheters, we're a loving, giving, amazing group of people who like to help other people through our craft, and clearly the BBC agrees with that. So I definitely hope that we get to see more of those stories as we work on this cause together in the future. But the business side of it is, of course, getting established with more organizations so that we can make sure that the beanie hats that we create go to the right people in need. And so I'm continuing on that work. And of course, as I do that and as the weather starts to cool down and we get more demand, I'm going to bring you along and share that experience with you. So expect more of that in the future. Through this whole business venture, this will always be a nonprofit work that I do. So if, big if, but if down the road we get monetized, that this channel gets monetized, you have my absolute commitment, and I will be fully transparent with you on any revenue that comes in through AdSense or partnerships or whatever. Again, this is like down the road in the future, but if we get there, 100% of any of that will go into yarn and making and donating beanie hats. So I do not, through donations on my website, or eventually if we get monetized here on YouTube, 100% of that goes to the cause. I don't pay myself a wage through any of that. I don't make any profit personally. Everything gets reinvested into Meadowbank Crochet and creating beanie hats. So you've got my absolute guarantee that that's my commitment to you as a viewer of this channel. So that's the business side of things. That's where we're at. Let's get into the fun stuff and do a review of the beanie hats that I made this week. All right, so what did I get up to this week? Oh my goodness. So here's this week's hat pile that we're going to add to the counter. So again, let me just really quickly explain this counter to you. So I'm building a stockpile of hats that are just ready to go as soon as hospitals or organizations ask me for more hats. So it's the summer months right now here in the UK, and so I'm just building up my stockpile ready to go. So the counter here shows how many hats I currently have in my stockpile, and as I show you these hats, that number will go up so that at the end we know what my current stockpile is. So let's get into the eye candy. What did I get up to this week? Well, I was continuing to use my Aldi yarn that I recently acquired. So this here is from my Aldi yarn haul. Made this lovely hot pink hat with a hot pink hat tag on it. So that's hat number one. Next hat is this guy. Again, I'm trying to build up some pink hats in my stockpile. So I made this lovely pink color with a nice light pink hat tag. And again, this was Aldi yarn. The next one, again, Aldi yarn. There's a theme here. This was another Aldi yarn. This is that sparkly yarn. And I don't know if I know it never really shows up in the videos very well, but sometimes if you shine a flashlight on it, you can kind of see the sparkles. I don't know if that helps or doesn't, but this is sparkly yarn from Aldi, and it's sort of a gold colored sparkle thread that goes through this one. So I made this one with a light pink hat tag on it. Next one, Aldi yarn again. This is non-sparkly and just a lovely pastel color. And again, these Aldi yarns just work up really quickly, and I put a pink hat tag on this guy. The next one, again, another sparkly yarn, and this one has sort of a silver metallic thread running through it, and I put a blue tag on this guy. Next one, non-sparkly, and sort of like bluish purple, light blue colors, and there was sort of a tealy blue in here, so I put a teal hat tag on this one. Next guy, one of my favorite Aldi yarns. This was a new color that they just released, and it's just this really fun pink and orange and yellow, and so I put a hot pink hat tag on this guy. that's the end of all the Aldi yarn for this week that I used up. So then I've got this one right here, which came out of this skein, and I put a blue hat tag on this one. I really like this. This is really soft, and it's just a really nice yarn to work with. So I definitely want to buy some more of this next time I'm in America. This yarn isn't easy to get here in England. It's very expensive to get here. So when I go over to America to visit family, I pick up yarn, and I'm definitely going to be buying some more of this. So that was this next guy. Then I've got some cotton yarn that I had. This cotton yarn I bought actually on eBay, and it was just an eBay auction that I bid on, and I picked up a big giant, I mean, it was a massive bag of different cotton yarns, but I used money that I got from a donation from someone called Elaine to pick up all of this cotton yarn. And so the balls of this particular color of cotton yarn that I had was enough to make 2 hats that are the same, basically. I put 2 different colors of hat tags on these, but this sort of purple and gray yarn, I had enough to make 2 hats to add to my stockpile. And then that was all the yarn that I had planned to use, but I ended up working those very quickly. Again, that Aldi yarn, it just, the hats make up so quickly. I'm able to make a beanie hat with the Aldi yarn, or really any sort of Aran weight yarn, usually 2.5, 3 hours max. I can have a hat cranked out. So I had a little bit of time left on Sunday to make a hat, and so I dove into my yarn balls, my stockpile of yarn that I have for any scraps that are left over. I don't throw anything away. I use my yarn scraps to make striped beanie hats. And so these little balls of yarn that I picked out made this beanie hat here. And again, I just love using scrap yarn to make something useful. And actually these beanie hats, the stripy beanie hats that I'm able to make with scrap yarn, the hospitals that I've donated to, and the patients who have reached out to me to thank me for the hats. And again, you can reach out to me on my Contact Me page on my website. But the patients who have reached out and shared pictures of the hat they picked, it's almost always the stripy ones. They really do love these stripy beanie hats, so they're very popular. And for the eagle-eyed of you, you'll see this yarn here might look familiar if you're an Aldi yarn lover. This was in the Aldi yarn drop earlier this year, so I had a little bit of this yarn left, and that was able to be incorporated into this stripy beanie hat. Anyway, I really enjoy using those scraps to make useful beanie hats for people. So that was my final beanie hat that I was able to make this week. Well, let's look at what I want to use this week as we dive into my stash to figure out what hats I want to make for future beanie hats. So the one thing that I have observed as I've been looking at all of the beanie hats that I've been making lately is that I'm a color girl. I love me some color. And so I have made a lot of beanie hats that are multicolor and bright and fun, but I want to be inclusive in the types of beanie hats that I make so that, you know, as hospitals are offering beanie hats to patients, that they've got a nice selection of hats to pick from, and that they can find something that resonates with them and that they would want to wear. And I know not everyone wants to have a loud, colorful beanie hat. There's lots of people who really appreciate and enjoy wearing neutrals. So this week I am challenging myself to go on a neutrals journey. And so this week's beanie hats are going to be made out of all of these yarns here. It's my journey into neutrals. So let me talk a little bit about them. First thing, I've got this guy here that, again, this was donated. On my website, I've got a donate section where if somebody wants to, they can contribute to Meadowbank Crochet funding, and any money that I get goes immediately into purchasing yarn that then gets made into beanie hats. I don't use any of that yarn for personal crochet projects. It gets set aside separately and is made into beanie hats. But this yarn in particular came through my Amazon wish list. I have an Amazon wish list, and someone called Joe did a very generous donation of a bunch of yarn, and so this was one of those yarns that came in through that donation. So I'm going to use that to make a beanie hat. Next one is this guy. Now this I've had for years. I don't even know what it is. It looks like it's maybe a DK yarn, I would guess. I have no idea what brand it is. I have no idea where I got it from, but I've had it for long enough. It's a lovely neutral color. Time to make it into a beanie hat. So this is the next one. Then I've got some Aran yarn here that I got through my Aldi haul. I'm going to make this into a beanie hat. It's a nice sort of soft heathery gray color. I really like this, so I'm going to make that into a hat. Continuing with the Aran yarn from Aldi, I've got this white beanie, white yarn that I'm going to make into a beanie hat. White's always a nice color for a beanie hat, so that's that. Then I've got some yarn here that I bought at Hobbycraft, which is a craft shop here in England. So this is another one that I'm going to use this week. This is some more Aldi yarn, and it's just this lovely rust color. And so I'm going to use that. It's a nice autumnal color. And again, all of the balls of yarn, if there's any scraps left over, which there will be, these will go into my scrap stash to make more stripy hats. And then I've got this one again, Aldi. It's a lovely mustardy yellow that will make a lovely hat. This is again another one of the donated through my Amazon wish list yarns that I'm going to make into a hat. This one is another one that was donated through the Amazon wish list, and so this one will get made into a hat. And finally, my last Aldi yarn this week that I'm going to use, and this is just a really lovely burgundy color, and so I'll make that into a hat. I could very much see, if I've got time left over, all of these scraps that will come, be the leftovers. I could very much see those making another amazing stripy beanie hat. So I'm gonna reach into my inner neutral loving self and focus on making some lovely neutral beanie hats, just again, so that I've got an inclusive range of hats for people so that they can pick a hat that they want and that fits their style. But as a reward for going down the neutral journey, as soon as I get those 10 hats done, I am gonna give myself a little reward and celebrate by making a beanie hat out of this sparkly Christmas yarn. So we'll end with a colorful bang if I'm able to get those 10 hats done. I'm not allowing myself to make this hat until I make the other 10. So watch next week and we'll see if I'm successful. If I've got the Christmas beanie hat, we did it. So that's my update on the future plans for future beanie hats that I'll share with you next week. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for being here and joining me as I go on this little beanie hat adventure. I really appreciate you being here and supporting me, no matter how you want to get involved, whether that's just listening into my videos and following my progress, or you actually want to get involved and start to make beanie hats with me. I'm just thrilled that you're here. I'm loving getting to talk to some of you in the comments And, you know, I've got the community page turned on for any subscribers, so feel free to engage with me there. I'll be sharing behind the scenes stuff there with you. And I just want to get to know you. So I'm really excited about all of this. Again, do all the YouTubey things, and I will see you next week as we continue this adventure together. Thanks so much. Bye.